Welcome back, Cowboys Nation. It is the Dallas Ballers Club. Well, 2/3 of the Dallas Ballers Club. We've got Burke and Spanky, aka Bennett and David, and we're back. It's been a long hiatus for us. We haven't been seen on YouTube since the infamous game in the middle of January, the Jordan Love masterclass. But we're back. The NFL draft is 3 days from today. Today is Monday, April 22nd, 2024. The NFL draft is coming up on Thursday. Stu couldn't be here with us today. I just made that sound like he's dead, which he's not. He's just taking care of something. He should be back next week for the recap pod, but we got a good episode for y'all. We're gonna be doing Spanky and I are gonna be doing just a little offseason recap. We're gonna be talking about some prospects that we love for Thursday's draft. We're even gonna do some variations of a mock draft. We're just gonna kind of figure it out depending on how long it takes us to get through the other stuff. But we're gonna be doing some mocks for you on this pod, so this is probably going to be one that it's better to watch on YouTube instead of streaming. But I mean, of course, we're still going to talk through the picks as well. So if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, no worries there. But yeah, we're excited to be back. Spanky, it's been a while. How are you doing?
You know, still haven't fully recovered yet, but
yeah,
it is what it is. It's draft week. This is one of the more exciting weeks of the year where football is not being played, so who am I to complain right now? It's a fun week to be in. I'm excited, although I know I'll be disappointed probably, but who knows? I'm holding out hope for the Dallas Cowboys and our good drafting. So
yeah. No, I'm in the same boat as you. I don't know if anyone listening to this pod that's an actual Cowboys fan will ever fully recover if you're a real fan. But just like Spanky said, it is draft week. This is the best week of the offseason. It really doesn't get much better than this until week 1. I mean, this is the closest that we're going to get to actual meaningful football until the preseason starts. So I'm excited, but we've got a lot to talk about. But first, with this being our first pod of the offseason, just got to do a quick little roundtable about our offseason or lack thereof. The Dallas Cowboys were the last team in the NFL to bring in an external free agent, which obviously, if you saw the way that things ended last year, was concerning. But there's no need to fear. Their first move of the offseason was actually re-signing long snapper Trent Sieg. We are a Trent Sieg podcast. If you're listening to this, Trent, we'd love to have you on. So that's just something to keep in mind there. We also brought back CJ Goodwin, core special teamer. Definitely going to need him with the new kickoff rules. We re-signed Chuma Edoga, Rico Dowdle, Jordan Lewis. Spanky, when you hear those names, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
We're back. But in all seriousness, we're a different word for sure, and it's rather disappointing. Try to keep it at PG-13 for all of our viewers out there, but we're very fire trucked, if I were to put it in a simple term. I'm not really happy with our offseason, and although I didn't expect us to spend, although I might have gotten my hopes up here and there and a couple nights out, but it's disappointing, and it's disappointing because although we didn't spend on bringing an external free agent, I was holding out hope if we did that, we would at least have had CD, Micah, or Dak resign, and we're still 0 for 3 in that regard. And whether you want Dak back next year or not, whatever, not the podcast right now to discuss it too early. Let us recover a little bit more before we go into something of that nature. But disappointing. Disappointing is what I have to say, because at least if we didn't sign someone, I was hopeful we would at least extend our guys, and we've yet to do that. And that's the part that kind of concerns me the most.
Yeah, the disappointing is a great word to describe it.
You didn't like fire trucked better?
Fire truck was a good one too. Disappointing has been kind of like probably one of the words you would use to describe our lifetime in our 23 years of life as Dallas Cowboys fans. That's probably a word that you would probably pretty commonly use. And in this offseason, it's been no different. Like Spanky said, not going to get into the whole extension talk just because that's a whole nother topic, whole nother can of worms. Who knows what's going on there? We don't know who our quarterback is going to be beyond 2024. And that's it's probably the first time that we can say that in a very long time. I'll just kind of leave it at that, just in terms of Dak's contract situation. The CD thing is puzzling, as is the lack of a Micah extension. But all I know is that the longer that we wait, the more expensive that those two deals are going to get. So I encourage the Cowboys front office, if they're listening, let's try to get something done soon. I'm sure we're not telling them something that they don't already know, but in terms of what else we did this offseason, we did, after a long drought, the Cowboys actually did bring in two external free agents. One of them should be a contributor. I think the other one, Spanky, I think you would agree with this. I think the other one is a camp body, similar to Ronald Jones, the second last year. And that's last week we just signed Rolls-Royce Freeman, running back. You might remember him from his University of Oregon days. He was in that line of Oregon running backs of, Michael James, Kenyon Barnard, DeAnthony Thomas, Royce Freeman, all those kinds of backs. He was in that line. And then we also signed, and this is, I think, our contributor, I think we can both agree on that, is Eric Kendricks. His brother Michael was a linebacker for the Eagles for a while. But yeah, Eric Kendricks, solid signing. Curious to know just, your thoughts on the Kendricks signing. I know it was a couple weeks ago, but.
Yeah. And this kind of is going to go hand in hand with what I think about our draft linebacker need. I'm not sure Kendricks has called the plays before, but he's third on the bad side of 30. But he's a Mike, and after losing Leighton Vander Esch, we needed a Mike linebacker. We needed someone in the middle of the park. Overshawn, not a Mike, too small. See-ball, hit-ball linebacker. A Mike is a guy that controls the defense, smart, and probably lacking in the pass coverage, although Kendricks is a very good pass coverage Mike, but lacking in the pass coverage and more in term with run defense, a bigger linebacker. And that's exactly what we needed as a replacement for Leighton Vander Esch, Overshawn. As much as we like or didn't like their performance last year, I would say both of them are off-ball linebackers, or will, if you will, and especially in Mike Zimmer's defense, where we might be using a 3-linebacker rotation, says Jerry Jones, although teams only used 3 linebackers at like an 18% clip rate last year, which is absolutely nuts. But we got some much-needed depth at our linebacker position. Is Kendricks better than Vander Esch? That's time will tell. I would like to assume yes. I would really like to err on that side just because of kind of what he's done historically in his career. But then again, other side of 30, we don't know. But at least we get a veteran Mike in that room to help teach and mentor our younger linebackers, because God knows Damone Clark and Overshawn are going to be flying around like chickens with their head cut off without a proper Mike in there to kind of ease and control the chaos.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's, I guess, the other piece of news that really happened since the last time that we uploaded. But Leighton Vander Esch has officially announced his retirement from the NFL. Shout out to LVE, a very, very talented player. Just the injury bug is a nasty bug to catch. And unfortunately for him, on what was at least what I think is a dirty play by Trent Williams that ended his career. I mean, shocker, Trent Williams, dirty player, not a great person, but
scumbag.
Yeah.
Scumbag.
Yeah. So, not surprised there. I don't think anyone in Cowboys Nation was really expecting him to kind of come back from that one. But I mean, at the end of the day, some things are bigger than football. You want him to be able to play with his children and grandchildren one day. So shout out to LVE. Just sucks that the injuries got the best of him. But in terms of notable losses, the Dan Quinn is now the head coach of the Washington Commanders, and he's assembling the Dallas Cowboys East. Back in my old neck of the woods and closer to Spanky's stomping grounds right now, back on the East Coast there. But he brought in Tyler Biotish, brought in Dorrance Armstrong. Who else did he bring in that I'm definitely blanking on someone, but let's see, Biotish, Armstrong. Who else did he? Why am I blanking? I don't know, but
he did bring in one more.
I think he did too. I don't.
Wait, I'm gonna pull it up.
Okay.
What do we? Let's think. Let's think this through.
He didn't bring it. He didn't bring a safety. He didn't bring a corner because Gilmore's still a free agent, I believe. Obviously didn't bring Diggs or Bland. Didn't bring Dak. Didn't bring CD. Tony Pollard's in Tennessee. Tyron Smith is in your neck of the woods. I thought there was someone else.
I mean, Dante Fowler Jr.
Yeah, Fowler. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so Dan Quinn assembling Dallas Cowboys East. And Cowboys have lost a lot of bodies. I don't think there's any major losses outside of Tyron Smith, which is probably going to be the main source of what Spanky and I are going to kind of dive into just in terms of our draft prospects. And once we get into our mock draft with both of our predictions for the 24th overall pick. But with Tyron's exit, I mean, tackle is a huge need for this team. Losing Armstrong, losing Fowler, I mean, those are rotational bodies. They're replaceable. I think we're both in the same boat that we think Tyler Biotish is replaceable. I think outside of Tyron, I don't think there's anyone that we really lost that's irreplaceable. Not Tyron Smith. Tony Pollard is now Tennessee Titan. He got a lot of money. Apparently, we were in the running to re-sign him, but Tennessee came in and pretty much doubled his AAV. And as a running back, there's zero reason to not take that. So shout out to Tony Pollard. But I mean, I don't think we did. Yeah, I don't think that was anything unexpected, but that's just going to kind of wrap it up. We just kind of wanted to gloss over that briefly. And now let's get into the fun part. I know, just over the last couple of months, I know you've been a lot more in tune. I mean, I've been in tune with, mocks and, just reading stuff on Cowboys Twitter. I know you're super dialed in, so I'm going to kind of throw some positions at you. And I'm going to throw some names at you, and I just kind of want to get your feedback on it because, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, this guy has been grinding tape like this whole offseason. Like when you're getting texted by Spanky at like 11:30 on a Tuesday night about like Graham Barton film, like that's how you know this guy is locked in. Like it's crazy stuff. But our first position that I want to talk about is tackle and offensive line. One of the guys that I guess the first guy, I think this is that you and I are kind of in agreement here that we think this could be the pick, but it's going to be Duke offensive lineman Graham Barton. I want to hear your thoughts on Mr. Barton.
Yeah. So a lot of people, Barton has been heavily talked about for the Cowboys and with good reason. If you follow us on Twitter, I kind of was early to the Barton train. He really caught my eye through the Senior Bowl workouts and also just pulling up tape and seeing that he started as a freshman playing center at Duke, and then transitioned to left tackle, where at first there was definitely his sophomore year, definitely a learning curve, but has played very, very well at left tackle. Now, begs the question, people are split on this. People assume he could play left tackle, left guard, center. I don't really see him transitioning as a NFL left tackle, if I'm being completely honest. I see him more interior, whether that is freshman, where we know he has history playing in an ACC, then again 4 years ago, but he played center for Duke, or a guard. And that begs the question, what do we want to do with Tyler Smith? And so, although that's a conversation for a different time, hopefully post draft I could give you an actual answer on that. But I see Barton more as a guard. I really like him, and what really caught my attention was looking at the various NFL draft player profiles that any one of us can look up. And so far, I've only looked up 5, and all 5 have said Matthew Bergeron is a very close player comp to Graham Barton. And as we all know, and if you don't know, I'll explain now. The decision for our first round pick last year was between Mozzie Smith and Matthew Bergeron, and we chose the former in that. And now I think now that it is a bigger need, an imperative that we shore up our trenches, I think Barton is a great fit for us. Now, where do I see him? If you watch Graham Barton, you'd immediately kind of see what I'm talking about, where he's just a high motor, high intense scrapper. He's not a mauler. He's not jacked or freakishly strong like some of the guys in this class, but what he does make up for, and of course, let me preface by saying this is the stereotypical kind of analysis you would expect by hearing the name Graham Barton, but he has very high football IQ in the sense where he's very good at picking up blitzes and stunts, especially at the left tackle position in the ACC. He played against very great NFL competition coming out of the ACC, whether it's the Florida State game where he played Jared Verse this year, or the former years where he had to deal with former first round picks in the ACC. He's done very well. I really like him. I don't see him as a tackle. I see him more as a guard / center prospect at the next level. But just looking at him and hearing the way he speaks about the game of football, he just kind of feels like a Dallas Cowboy to me. It's really hard to explain, and I know that's a casual ass, candy ass take, but he's a multifaceted linemen who can play at various different positions along the line, whether you want to try him at tackle, where I don't think he will be, but more interior. He is just a really great prospect. Not to mention, he placed in the 94th percentile in the 40 and 3 cone, which is very good. But as a tackle prospect, he is very undersized, with his height and weight being in the 35th and the 43rd percentiles. So I want to see him more inside at the next level, but then again, you're going off my YouTube research. I don't have the film and the medicals that these teams have.
Yeah. I think it was funny because you and I were in lockstep. Where after the first time that I watched Barton, I said the same thing, and we both had the same thought that, like, we don't know how to describe it or explain it, but he just feels like a Cowboy. And I think that his versatility, as you mentioned, his ability to play, guard, center, possibly even tackle at the next level, I think that's something that we're really going to covet, especially, considering that as of right now, we pretty much have at least 2 question marks on our O-line, maybe even 3, depending on how Terrence Steele bounces back from his lackluster season last year. But we know Zach Martin is going to be our right guard. We know Tyler Smith is going to be a left side of the line asset, whether that be at left tackle or at left guard, where he was an all-pro last year. So I think the question is, if we bring in a guy like Barton, is going to be just, I think a lot of where he might end up really depends on the, growth and development of guys like TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman, who are, I guess, as of right now, kind of the next man up in that offensive line rotation. I know that
Seam
uh,
Richards as well.
Asim Richards as well, yeah, and I know that believe it's what Bass has kind of been looked at by Cowboys brass as being like a potential center of the future. So, and the games in which TJ Bass stepped in last year, he performed very well. So, and with the way that this team develops offensive linemen, if we do go a line with the pick at 24, I'm not going to question it after we I mean, Spanky and I were there together, as well as Stu and Brady, who's made a guest appearance on here. But when we watched the draft and we saw that we were taking a Tulsa offensive tackle that we had pretty much, I think, collectively like almost never heard of, and saw that he led the NCAA in penalties, and we all said it was a horrible pick at the time. And 2 years later, 3 years later, we firmly have our foot in our mouths. So we're just going to trust this team. This team has drafted Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, Tyler Smith with first round picks, and has turned all of them into all pros. So I don't think that we're in any position to be able to, to kind of doubt them. But I do like Graham Barton. Your analysis was really great there. Next tackle prospect I want to dive into here is Tyler Guyton. If you don't know him, he's offensive tackle from Oklahoma University. So he was teammates with Anton Harrison, who was he a first rounder last year? Maybe he was early second. I know he went to Jacksonville.
Yeah, yeah. I think he was. I think he was late. I want to say they traded up and got
late
him,
first.
I'm not too sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. The bottom line is, yeah, Anton Harrison, a top 2 round talent last year. He was the other tackle on that OU offensive line. And this is a guy that I think that, at least from what I've been able to gather, people seem to be really split on him. He did not test well at the combine or at his pro day, really. And I don't know. Guyton is a guy that I don't really know if I see it. But I'm curious to know what, kind of your thoughts on Tyler Guyton.
Yeah. Tyler Guyton and Graham Barton couldn't have been more polar opposite of prospects. Graham Barton, nothing athletically. Tyler Guyton is everything athletically and physically. Tyler Guyton stands 6'8", 322 pounds, with 10 1/4 inch hands and 34 1/8 arms. Arm length and hands, nothing really write home about, but the height and the weight is definitely intriguing to go along with. Definitely respectable athleticism numbers from someone who's 6'8", 322, with placed in the 83rd percentile of the three cone. Three cone is really good for offensive linemen to show kind of the horizontal speed and the agility there, along with the footwork. Now, Guyton is a prospect where he is the definition of love hate. I still think he's very, very, very raw in the sense where hand placement's not good, and overall form and technique is not the best, tends to lean a little bit, but kind of the next generation of tackles are these huge athletic freaks. We've seen Georgia ones go in the past. There's a Georgia one that we'll talk about after this, but it just seems like you want a big mass, a big person there guarding your quarterback's blind spot. And with obvious reason, the quarterback's the most expensive position in football now. He's huge. He's 6'7", 330. That's massive. He's going to be the biggest person. That's like Josh Ball, awkward tall, that we used to see on the field all the time. Like he's a freak of nature, physically gifted. Although I've said he is raw, what separates kind of my liking for him and Grant Barton's is he's one of the older-ish prospects. He is 23. Where Guyton actually did Guyton redshirt? I'm not sure if Guyton redshirted, but both players played till their senior year. But Guyton is 23. He's raw. He's big. not much of a mauler, would I say. His pass blocking is definitely better than his run blocking, but I really didn't like his tape. Besides kind of just seeing a project-ish tackle is kind of what I would define him as. I didn't love his tape. I just by saying that alone, I didn't really love his tape. I don't like Oklahoma as a school, but I tried not using that as a bias. He just really didn't have an offense where you can really analyze a lot of plays and translate that to the NFL with kind of Oklahoma's offensive system being such a college, not NFL friendly for translatable plays offense. It's very similar to Ole Miss's, where it's like these plays aren't going to happen at the next level, where it's quick screens, slants, where he only has to block a guy for half a second. So he's going to put up damn good numbers, of course. But yeah, I'm kind of on the category of I wouldn't love this pick, being honest. A 23-year-old project tackle doesn't fill me with hope, given it's a 700-day difference between him and Barton. It's not that extreme, but I tend to really want to side with the guys that I trust can plug and play year one, especially with the uncertainty in the air. Being this close to a rebuild, but that far from the Super Bowl doesn't really put me in a spot where I really know what I want to do with prospects. So I would rather side on the side of kind of moderately aggressive, which I think Barton is. I think Guyton is an ultra aggressive. It's a home run swing of a pick if he turns out to his potential. But then again, that there begs the question is, will he live up to the potential? I'm not truly a fan. I really wouldn't celebrate this pick at 24, but I know some people on Twitter will let me know that I'm very wrong.
Yeah. And then final tackle prospect here that I want to talk about. And this is a guy that I know.
Now here's a guy.
Yeah, now here's a guy. But this guy truly, when I know that you used it to talk about Guyton, this guy makes Guyton look like a little boy. This guy is an absolute monster. I mean, you're talking about a mountain of a human being. If you don't know who I'm talking about yet, that's going to be Georgia offensive tackle Armarius Mims. First of all, if you're not really familiar with this guy, I encourage you to look up the pictures and videos of him of when he was in high school. This guy is like the videos of him just being on the field with his teammates in high school is hilarious. He's like a foot and a half taller than everyone. Like he looks like the one big kid that like would just beat up on all the on all the smaller kids on the playground. Like the one kid that was just super far and way more genetically gifted than everyone else. This guy is a monster. I think he's like 6'8", like what, probably 340 something
6'8", 340.
Yeah, 6'8", 340 of muscle. Like when you think of a guy like Tyron Smith, who obviously Dallas Cowboy legend, first ballot Hall of Famer, I mean Armarius Mims is like a shredded 6'8", 340. Guy is an absolute monster. He's a mauler, he's aggressive, but he also terrifies me at the same time, not just because of his, intimidation factor and his literal, size and just brute human force, but just his pause. But his his medical flags. There we go. Land the plane. He has a lot of questionable medical red flags, and I don't think that there's really a moment that better personified this than when he got injured running the 40-yard dash. He wasn't the only one that got hurt at the combine doing it, especially for the big boys, but he's had a lot of injuries. He has all the potential in the world, I think, out of all three tackle prospects that we've talked about, and out of every tackle in this class. I mean, this guy's ceiling is like a first ballot Hall of Famer, but his floor is that he could be injury prone and out of the league in like 3 years. So I think that this guy really is the ultimate definition of boomer or bust, but I'm curious to know your thoughts on Armarius Mims because I know this is a guy that that you really like as well.
Yeah, I mean, I said for Guyton taking a power swing for a home run is that pick. What it really is, right here with Arminius or whatever Mims. Um, to put it into comparison, it's like Barry Bonds stepping into one right here, and if he connects, it's gone. This is Mims. He's 6'8", 340. All his measurables, just to put things in the perspective of tackles, there's not a single measurable that he has that is less than the 89th percentile. He's a freak, a genetic freak of nature. But like Bennett said, his one issue is longevity/experience. He hasn't played a lot of games. He only has 700 college snaps, but when he's on the field, I mean, the talent, the he's 21 years old, the potential, just everything really makes sense with Mims when you're thinking about a tackle prospect. He only played right side in college, and that's some people are very quick to judge if oh, he played right tackle, he could play left tackle. That is a completely different position playing on the other side, completely different footwork. That I mean, it's like asking a pitcher to pitch left-handed. To put things into perspective, it's hard. It's hard. It's a whole different process for them, whole different range of motion. But if Mims can do it, man, that's if he hits, it's your left Hall of Fame left tackle for the next 15 years. And it's I don't want to really say this because Tyron was an amazing Cowboy, but I mean, shit, if we get him, it could be on the par of having a Tyron Smith level talent fall into our laps because COVID didn't have a lot of snaps in college. And then, of course, like you said, the injury history, although I never want to see Mims on the football field running a 40 yards dead sprint in a straight line, that is still very, very scary. But yeah, his obvious strengths are his frame and his size, just the mass and length. Pause. He carries zero bad weight. Pause. He's very much like Tyron Smith. He's very much like Tyron Smith, and it almost seems like the miniature version. The younger version, definitely not miniature. But the issue is, of course, the technique. We saw it with Tyler Smith where we saw some guy. Now, here's a guy. We saw some guy where he needed to be refined, and Mims kind of feels the same way. Just the hand usage overall isn't great, and the technique overall, it's pretty damn good for a college player. It's still not up to par by the NFL standard, and thankfully that's why we got training camp and rookie balls to hopefully refine that. But while Barton is a rather safe pick, Mims is a guy that you're Happy Gilmore trying to drive a green on a par four. And if you get it, holy shit, you're in. But if you don't, you're gonna be ripping up your scorecard and calling it a just leaving the course. I love him. I personally, honestly, if he was there, I'm running the name up to the podium immediately. In my reasoning behind that and taking the high upside pick is what do we have to lose? We're looking to rebuild dead in the eyes, and I'm not getting into the quarterback controversy, but even past then, Zach Martin's older, DeMarcus Lawrence is older. We're gonna have to re-sign some guys. We're gonna lose some guys. Like the roster turnover, even here till this time next year, is gonna be insane. And this is gonna be one of the most wildest runs for a Cowboy fan, and having to let go of players and all of that. And so, you know what? I'm going to take the swing here because I can afford it. What do we have to lose? Nothing. What do we have to gain? A Hall of Fame tackle. And that's my pitch on Arminius Mims. I want him. He is, I probably didn't pronounce the name correct, by judging by Burke's smirk. Sorry for the audience. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see me struggling with pronunciation and Burke smirking in my face. But he's the home run hit right here. Now, obviously, other teams are going to know this. I guess time will tell if teams really care about project and frame apart from having refined technique. We're also going to see that discussion in the defensive end room. Although it's not a need for the Cowboys, we're going to see like Latu. in Dallas Turner. Latu is one of the most refined pass rushers I've ever seen coming out of college, while guys with more projectable NFL frames and athleticism will probably go above him. But yeah, I really like Mims. I project him as a left tackle 1 if he can move over. If he can't, he's a right tackle 1, Hall of Fame. If he hits, I really want him. And yeah, he's a late bloomer, and despite the limited number of starts, just you can't deny his potential.
Yeah, love it. And okay, so we have 2 more position groups that I want to cover here before we do our combined mock draft. But for the last 2 positions, I'm going to kind of just group all these names together, and then we can just kind of go through them more so, just kind of speed things up. But the first position group that I want to talk about is linebacker. So we know that linebacker is going to be a big need. I expect it to be one of our first 3 picks. What round that comes in obviously remains to be seen. But to me, there's 3 names that I'm really kind of seeing circulating with this team right now. That's going to be available within that, either late first or early second round range. And so those 3 names are Edgerrin Cooper out of Texas A&M, Peyton Wilson out of NC State, North Carolina State, and Junior Colson, who's a linebacker out of Michigan. Now, out of these 3 guys, I think all 3 would be really solid players, day 1 contributors, obviously. Not a ton to compete with in-house, obviously. They all have their different upsides. Cooper's going to be more of your athletic freak. I believe he's definitely younger than Wilson. But I don't know a ton about Colson. I know you know a little bit more than I do, but Colson was the main man in the middle for that vaunted national championship winning Michigan defense. So obviously he's no slouch either. Peyton Wilson had a wonderful NFL combine. Right after the combine, he was even getting a lot of first round buzz. So he's another guy that I think would, if he's there, at our second or third round pick, I think honestly, any 3 of these guys, if they're there with our second or third round pick, I think it's pretty much worth the swing. You're going into next season with Eric Kendricks, DeMarvin Overshown, Damone Clark, and probably someone else that I'm forgetting right now. But you're thin and you're young in your linebacker room, so getting a guy in there like Colson, Wilson, or Cooper in there is going to be someone that you're going to be pretty much counting on from day 1 to step in and be a contributor, which is fine because that's how most Dallas Cowboys draft classes usually end up, with last year being the outlier. But I guess out of these 3 linebackers, who, I guess, if I was to ask you to rank these 3 guys and then just give me your most likely prediction for the Cowboys and then your favorite prediction.
It's hard. I think the most likely to happen. Oof.
It's tough, right?
I'll tell you, my rankings all end with I think we would be more prone to draft Junior Colson. I really think we would trust a Harbaugh-led Mike linebacker, and I also alluded to the fact that we have guys on the roster right now that project to be better will linebackers. I don't see Cooper as a Mike, and although Peyton Wilson did play Mike in college, I think he's a will. I think you want him being a see-ball, hit-ball linebacker, especially with his 40 time and his athletic numbers. I think Colson is the most Mike of the linebackers before you take the fall off to someone like, I don't know, Eichenberg from Ohio State, who would probably be a Mike in the next level. But this guy, Junior Colson's the Mike. I think we would draft him for the future. Probably a lower ceiling than Peyton Wilson, if I were to guess, but less medical red flags, safer pick, and a guy that you just put in the room and watch him play football. Now, kind of comparing this guy to our home run pick of a left tackle, Peyton Wilson. He's my favorite personally, and I know this is people are gonna be like, oh, his medical, oh, blah, 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 but medical, his shoulder, his knee. You know, when you turn on film and you just watch the film of a football player, this guy, without a shadow of a doubt, is a first round draft pick. He's 6'4", he's 233 pounds. First of all, what does that tell you? He has a frame. He's gonna add mass. 233, and he moves the way he does. Keep in mind 4'3" or 4'4", sorry. I mean, absolutely insane for a linebacker. He has the fluid hips. He moves like a safety when the ball's in the air, which is pretty nuts when you see it on film. But then again, he has all of these medical red flags, and at the same time is 24. So I can definitely see the side where, of course, there's going to be pessimism out of the Cowboys faithful about seeing a older white linebacker with a medical history, since one just retired off of our team, and there's obviously going to be that sort of bias. But him and the guy that just retired are two completely different players. All for these linebackers, I'm not taking a single one in the first round if I'm keeping it real. Edgerrin Cooper is my next linebacker out of A&M, and you know what? Although he looks a lot smaller right now, given he's a college football player, he just kind of reminds me of the Ravens linebackers like Patrick Queen or Roquan, where he's a see-ball, hit-ball linebacker, and God knows you're going to feel the hits that he delivers. Very good rushing, not so good in pass coverage. Peyton Wilson is probably the best pass coverage linebacker, and he's still not amazing, but for a linebacker, he moves very well. And one thing I forgot to mention about Peyton Wilson was his where is it? He has had 2 ACL tears and 1 serious shoulder injury to go along with 2 other shoulder injuries that he sustained in college. One of the ACL tears was senior year of high school, both of them on both knees. So at 24, it kind of seems, I don't know. And I'm split on this, but gun to my head, hopefully, which never happens. I'm taking Junior Colson, linebacker out of Michigan, as my favorite linebacker of this draft. Not only does he meet a need, but he gets to learn from one of the best Mike linebackers in the past decade, in Eric Kendricks. And I feel like that's just a match made in heaven.
Yeah, no, I like that feedback a lot. I mean, obviously with a guy like Kendricks, that's kind of the value of bringing him in, especially with the DC like Mike Zimmer. I mean, Kendricks is probably going to wear the green dot this year, if I had to guess, just being that he knows the system and he'll be able to help get guys in position in the right place. And just for the young guys that we have now, like Damone Clark, and for DeMarvin Overshown, and for whoever else we bring in this draft, having a guy like Kendricks is going to be really beneficial, just for them to kind of have that veteran presence that they kind of look to. And I think that I'm kind of on the same page with you, just in terms of how I would rank them. I think Peyton Wilson is a beast, but it's very similar to Armarius Mims. I mean, the medical concerns scare the shit out of me, quite frankly, just because, kind of similar to Armarius Mims on the other side, and kind of how it reminds you maybe a little bit of Tyron, where, you're not going to get a full 17-game regular season out of him, but the 13 games, 12 games that you get out of him per season are going to be awesome. And, it, even before Leighton Vander Esch, maybe might remind you a little bit of Sean Lee, even. Not just saying that because they're all white, but like, when you have a a sick athletic linebacker who plays, a very instinctual brand of football and has a very high, football IQ. I mean, that's obviously something that you could use in your defense. I'm on the same wave. I would not take any of these guys in the first round. Cooper and Wilson, more specifically, have actually gotten a little bit of first round buzz, not a ton. I think it's generally that this year, the general consensus is that this is more of a weaker linebacker class. So I think for us, maybe getting a guy like Junior Colson in the third round is definitely kind of a safe spot. I think just in terms of us to be able to add a capable body to that linebacker room. So I think that would be my general consensus pick would be Junior Colson in the third round. However, if we wanted to, maybe go a little bit against the grain, maybe not necessarily reach, but, I guess draft a little bit more for need, I would not be opposed to, Peyton Wilson or Edgerrin Cooper in the second round should they fall that far. Also, side note, I don't know if Cooper or Wilson will be available by the time we're on the clock at, what are we, 56 in the second round?
Yeah, that's the risk with this linebacker class is we're kind of we reach on one in the first, or we're gonna have to pray he falls in the second. Is kind of where this linebacker class feels for us.
Yeah.
It's just like that awkward stage. None of these guys really stand out to me, at least, more than the rest. I feel like Colson's the high floor guy, Wilson is the high ceiling guy, and Cooper's kind of best of both worlds, if I were to assume and kind of put it into more generic terms. But man, yeah, that Wilson's that home run pick, but it's going to end up being a reach if we take him in the first, which I hope to God we don't. But like we're going to have to be sitting pretty and be very anxious waiting for that pick, especially with the Eagles picking, I think, twice in front of us in the second round, and their need is linebacker conveniently. Right. So God knows if Peyton Wilson puts on that Philly green, he's going to end up being the next coming of Luke Kuechly. But when we draft him, he's going to be fucking Rolando McClain. But who knows? Who knows? This class kind of gets shit on. I'm not gonna lie, especially with like people talking about these players. Wilson is really hated, especially with the medicals, but yet people ignored medicals for our next position unit. So it's definitely going to be one to watch.
Yeah. So you already kind of alluded to it, but the last position that we want to talk about, we're finally going to talk about something sexy here. Had to get the trenches and the dirty work positions out of the way. But we're going to talk about running back because obviously, as we said when we recapped the offseason, our current running back room is Deuce Vaughn, Rico Dowdle, Rolls-Royce Freeman, and I think that's it, right? Just those three right now. And I guess Hunter Lipke, if you classify him in that room as well. So we don't have we have a bunch of guys. We don't have the guy. And I think that's where we're really going to look for the draft. And I'm going to throw some names at you. I already know who your favorite is. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen our Twitter yet, pretty much all of the pro Trey Benson propaganda has been put out by Spanky. But I will say I do like him a lot too, but I think that there's also some other guys that we do have to talk about just because this running back class for me, it's not like last year where you're going to have, two anomalies and, two guys like Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs, guys that are first round talents and standout rookie contributors. I see this running back class as a lot of capable guys. Maybe not first round talents, but guys that if they're there at 56 or by the time we get to our third round pick, which I think is around like 74, if they're on the board, I don't think we should hesitate at all in pulling the trigger. And so the names that I want to throw at you, and I believe that at least to our knowledge, that these are all the running backs we've had in on top 30 visits, and these are also the guys that have had the most buzz around the team. So the 4 names that I'm going to throw out is it's mostly the top 3, but then the 4th one we'll also talk about a little bit. So the first 3, well, I'll just give all 4. So it's going to be Jonathan Brooks from Texas, Trey Benson from Florida State, your guy, Braylon Allen from Wisconsin, and Audric Estime from Notre Dame. So I guess just kind of, if you want, you can start off with Trey Benson because I know
I'll rank them first as well. I'll
okay,
rank
perfect.
them first. And,
Yeah.
so as Berkey alluded to, I've been a Trey Benson fan ever since his tape got put on my desk. He's yeah, he's like I've as soon as I heard you kind of allude to the fact that Benson is my guy, I was just sitting here trying to think of why I'm really drawn to Benson more than other backs. And I've really thought of it. And sorry for the PG-13 listeners or YouTube monetization purposes, but I'm tired of watching. And I guess we only have for 1 year because Zeke left 2 years ago. But I want to see our running backs start delivering hits and stop being a bunch of pussies when they're running through the hole. Our running backs need to deliver power and deliver hits and invoke fear in the defense, and especially how Mike McCarthy really likes using our offense, along with the coordinators that have come and predated Mike McCarthy calling our plays. We sure love our fucking running back dives up the middle. So what kind of running back should we target? Sure as shit ain't going to be 5'8" Blake Corum, in my opinion. It's going to be that 6 foot, 216-pound running back out of Florida State and Trey Benson. Given, and I really just thought of this on the spot, all 3 of my home run picks have injury downside to them, and Mims, Benson, and Wilson. And as I alluded to, Trey Benson suffered a bad knee injury his freshman year and missed that season, but hasn't gotten an injury since. Also, fact check it if you want. Trey Benson never fumbled in college. So ball security, along with 4.39 speed, being 216 pounds. I watch him and he runs way less aggressive, but still seeks contact like DeMarco Murray. And that's the running back that I really saw. And people forget, Murray had that home run speed. Everyone remembers him from trucking that Philadelphia Eagle fat-ass lineman into the turf, sending him to the shadow realm. But he had that breakaway speed. I remember watching against the St. Louis Rams, him with Dez trying to trail and unhook the trailer, trying to catch DeMarco Murray. And that's one of my core memories from the DeMarco Murray era. And I saw it in Benson. I saw it. His cons are he's not really that fluid. From these bigger backs that have that great long speed pause, but he is very, very, very hard to bring down. He forces an outrageous amount of missed tackles. And if he gets to the second level, chances are a little ass corner is not going to tackle him. And I'm tired of seeing our guys go down by 1 hit or a shoestring tackle from a DB. It's time our running game started breaking these long runs while at the same time punishing guys, which I bring my attention to Jonathan Brooks. And Jonathan Brooks is my running back too. Thank you. Yeah, you completely threw me off my thought. Thanks, dude. But Jonathan Brooks is my running back too. He's the most complete back. Let me just disclaim that right real quick. He's the most complete back in this class and has the least amount of mileage on his legs in this class, given he was behind if you've ever heard of him, Bijan Robinson, all of college, who we ended up knowing that went 7th overall. He's a do-it-all running back. He can run, he can catch, he can run between the tackles. He has that breakaway speed, but he's a prospect that I'm not gonna. I'll cheer if we draft him. Of course, I will be very happy with this pick. But something about Trey Benson and maybe wanting to be different, but fuck him, I'll never admit it, makes me like Trey Benson more than Brooks. But Brooks is a very, 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 very talented and the most complete back. Like I said, he has the least amount of wear and tear on his legs. He played in a very hard conference, played very well up to the SEC competition. And yeah, I mean, his pro charts probably comparison are. Who do you have you watched Brooks enough to try to give a pro comp of Brooks? Because I'm trying to think of a pro comp right now, and kind of runs like a bigger Kamara is on, and I know that's a casual take because dreads, but let's call a spade a spade. He's a hard guy to comp because he's just very, very complete. He's good at everything, not great at anything, but good at
Right.
everything. And that kind of brings us into our running back 3, at least for me, and that's Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin. I mean, I feel like everyone knows the name, and here comes a bruiser from Madison, Wisconsin, 6'1", 235 pounds, and I feel like he's been talked about as a great running back, especially now that everyone thinks of Wisconsin as at least a top 3 RBU in the country. Great player, but I don't see the home run speed some people see. I see more of a bruiser. His sweet spot's probably 13 yards. As soon as like that corner gets an angle, it's kind of over. But he'll get you 3 yards every time. It kind of reminds me of older Zeke. Of course, he definitely has more speed than that last year of Ezekiel Elliott did on our team. But that's what he kind of feels like to me. And lastly, pronounce the name for me, Burke.
Audric Estime from Notre Dame.
Yeah, from Notre Dame. He's the project running back of this group that we decided to bring in. I understand why we brought him on the top 30 visit. It's if those guys go, we're gonna wait to take a running back, and we're gonna just keep drafting positions of need in front of him. This guy will probably be there in the 4th, if I were to assume, unless running backs do some crazy run. But he is extremely raw, and people are going to be so turned off by his 4.71 40 time. But the people that respect 40-yard dashes a little too much, I mean, let them be them. He shows it on the film. There's one play against Clemson where he jumped over a top 5 linebacker of this class and stiff-armed his linebacker buddy into the turf, into the shadow realm, and he's you just look at him and you think workhorse, and he's 221 pounds at a running back. He's bigger than Allen, or 10 pounds lighter than Allen, bigger than Brooks, and bigger than Benson, and he plays like it. I think he might be the same amount of speed. He looks faster, but given Notre Dame's schedule is not that hard, so he could look faster. But yeah, he's kind of like that late round if we want to push off drafting a running back, because I think he'll fall because that 40 time. But then again, I'm a dude that uses YouTube for his analysis, so I wouldn't be thrilled about him in the 2nd or 3rd, but in the 4th, that's okay. Yeah, we can work with that kind of a pick, especially if we have a running back room of a bunch of guys. We're putting another guy in that room.
Yeah. And so to answer your earlier question about a comp for Jonathan Brooks, I've been thinking about it. I think I've settled on Melvin Gordon as his comp.
Okay, I like that. That.
Because
I'm glad you stayed away from the using a dread running back, but that's guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gordon had dreads as well, which was kind of what got me on that path. But that, that's neither here nor there. But if you remember Gordon coming out of Wisconsin, he played with. No, sorry, he didn't play with Russell Wilson, but he was right after the Russell Wilson Wisconsin days, and he was kind of your do everything back, like had that home run speed. He could catch the ball, he could run inside, he could run outside, and I feel like Brooks is kind of, as you said, I think out of all the backs in this class, I think he's going to be the one that's the most complete back, and I think that out of every back, I do like Benson a lot. And the one thing that Brooks kind of shares with Benson is definitely some medical question marks, to say the least. Not as severe as Benson, but Brooks is a really solid back. Spanky and I got to see him a little bit because he played at UT, and not only sat behind Bijan Robinson, but also sat behind Roschon Johnson last year too. So he was that, the RB3 on a Texas team last year. This year he was the bell cow for Texas up until late in the season when he got injured, had a season-ending injury. I know it was lower body. But I don't remember if it was knee or ankle or whatever it was. But I like Brooks a lot. There seems to be a lot of buzz surrounding him right now to the Cowboys. It's from all reports right now, it seems like if he's on the board at 56, that he's going to be our pick. And I don't hate it. I like it. Again, kind of like Spanky said, I'm ready for kind of a changing of the guard in terms of our running backs. Shout out to Tony Pollard, but he was a lot better when he was getting 12 carries a game, and he was the guy that we all wanted instead of Zeke. And then once we got our full share of him, he wasn't the guy that we thought he was going to be. So, I think Brooks would be my personal choice out of the four. I think Estime and Allen, I kind of grouped together. I would prefer Allen over Estime, just because the one thing that is big about Allen is although he has a decent amount of mileage already, a little bit of tread on his tires, he is also, I think he might be the youngest player in this draft class. He's like 20 years old. When he was starting as a true freshman for Wisconsin, he was like 18. I think he like graduated high school early or something crazy. And I mean, he's a freak. When you look at him, he's jacked. Like he looks like a monster. Kind of looks like Derrick Henry or like that OG like Baylor Sean Oakman meme where he just looks like a massive like scary human being. That's what Braylon Allen is.
Like the AJ Brown, DK Metcalf weight room picture.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think when you look at a guy like Estime, I think he's more of your like standard between the tackles bruiser, kind of like you said. I actually think a good comp for Estime / Allen in a way is a guy that I just mentioned in Roschon Johnson, where he was, Roschon was the backup to Bijan Robinson, but he's a pretty darn good athlete. And I mean, he's going to be a solid running back for the Bears for years to come. So I think I'm also in, I would say I'm on the same page as you, as I think Estime is more the guy that you're looking at on day 3, unless there's a really big run on running backs, which I don't really foresee that happening. But I mean, it's the NFL draft. Things get crazy. You never know. But I think Estime is more the guy that you're looking at as a day 3 pick, whereas I think Brooks, Benson, and Allen are going to be more guys that you're looking in that day 2 range, that second and third round range. If all 4 of these guys were available at 56, I think I would take Jonathan Brooks. So we differ a little bit there, but I don't totally understand the argument for Benson. It's just, kind of the same thing as with Mims and with Peyton Wilson. Just the medicals terrify me, especially lower body injuries on a running back. I mean, that's just my personal preference, but Benson is a stud too. That's not to take away from him. I mean, he was pretty much the heart and soul outside of Jordan Travis of that Florida State team this year that, was 13-0. And again, I mean, this isn't a college football podcast, but you can make the argument that this should have been in the playoff, but that's not our concern. But a lot of great options here. We talked about tackle, talked about linebacker, talked about running back. Now it's time to get into our mock draft. So I'm thinking that, just for time's sake, because I don't know what we're at right now, I can't see the number. It didn't load for me for some reason, but I think we should just do a combined mock, and then you and I each can post our own mocks to the DVC Twitter. And so that way people can kind of do like a compare and contrast, and then maybe we can run a poll, see what people like better. And then we can just kind of do that.
That works.
And then we can hopefully get Stews in there too. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So we're going to do definitely doing a 1 round. Not going to sit here and do a 7 rounder. That would be insane. So we're gonna do
a 3-rounder.
3.
Yeah, do a
with
3-rounder.
With every team.
I thought you meant just Cowboys.
How about okay? Let's do this. Let's do one where we do full 7-round, just Cowboys, and we'll kind of go through that one quickly, and then we'll do one where we just go first round every team, and we'll go alternate pick for when we do the whole week one. So let's start here, 7-round. Let me go ahead and just select Cowboys here, and then let's go screen share. Okay. Give me 1 second. I guess I didn't have privacy share already. Okay. Google Chrome. Okay. Sorry. Oh no. Okay. Let me see if this works. Okay. Tell me if you can see my screen right now. No?
Oh, yes, I can. Yes, I can.
You can?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So you see the NFL mock draft database? Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Because it said I might have to restart the app, and I was like, well, we're about to lose a whole recording. Okay, glad that worked. Okay, so we're going to just go fast, I guess. So DBC Dallas 1. Okay, so we're going to do Cowboys. We're going to do all 7 picks here. And then let's go ahead and enter the draft room now. So pretty standard here. How do we start this joint? Oh, start. Got it. Okay. Okay, so we're on the clock here. Do we want to look at trade offers?
No.
Trades. Okay. I was gonna say that.
You imagine?
Okay.
Well, I mean, click on the alignment tab. Well, I guess here we go, Berkey. Who do we like better? We both know what we're looking at. Who do we like better? It's 20. So for the viewers that are listening to this, listening to 2 schoolgirls cackle at what's on the screen, it is lineman out of Duke, Graham Barton, and lineman out of Oregon, Jackson Powers Johnson. So Burke, let me hear your thoughts. First of all, is there a timer?
No timer, so we're fine.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Nothing. Well, yeah. Give me your thoughts. What do you want to go here, Barton or Jackson Powers Johnson?
So this is an interesting one. So Jackson Powers Johnson is a guy that we didn't talk about, leading up to doing this mock, but he was a guy that early on in the draft process that we were pretty much in love with. He was the darling of the Senior Bowl. He became even more of a darling after the combine. However, I think people are starting to kind of come back to earth and realize that he is an interior offensive lineman. So his value is going to be, suppressed a little bit. Doesn't really have the versatility or ability to kick out and play tackle. But Jackson Powers Johnson would also be a really great pick. I think if we're putting ourselves in the shoes of our front office and how we think this is going to go, I think if they had the choice between Barton and Jackson Powers Johnson, I think that they would take Graham Barton. However, it should be noted that I know we did meet with JPJ. I don't know, was it top 30 or was it at the combine? I think it was the top 30.
I think it was top 30.
Okay. Yeah. So we have had him in for a visit, which means obviously there is some interest there, but I still think that they would take a swing on Barton just because even though I feel like we're kind of in the same boat that we think he's, probably better suited at guard. Maybe like if you have him neck and neck, maybe just the thought process that maybe you can play him at tackle maybe pushes him over the edge over Jackson Powers Johnson. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I really like Jackson Powers Johnson. It's this is the pick where it's like, all right, what do we do with Tyler Smith? This is the pick, because if we draft JPJ, we're kicking Tyler to tackle and playing either Bass or Hoffman at guard or Asim Richards, whoever wins that training camp battle. But if we draft Barton, it's okay. We're probably going to keep. I still think if we draft Barton, we might kick Tyler. For the sake of the pod and us being Barton stans, let's pick Barton.
Okay.
But the thought of JPJ next to Tyler Smith and Zach Martin is a pretty nice thought.
It is. All right. So
Barton.
we're going to go Graham Barton at 24. Now let's see how the rest of this is going here. Okay, so Edgerrin Cooper just went, pick before us, not trading with the Eagles. Okay, so second round pick here, number 56, as I just said. Edgerrin Cooper just went at 55 to the Dolphins right before us. Now scrolling down, I already see a name that we just talked about, Jonathan Brooks. Here's your other guy, Trey Benson. Let's see just so we can see where we're at. So linebacker has just been obliterated. All three. Colson's gone too.
Yeah.
So
wow, that's a punt. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think running back? It's got to be, right? Unless you want to throw a shot at a receiver, but
click on the wide receiver tab. Yeah, click on the wide receiver tab. Polk. Okay, too rich. I'm not taking Leggett. I know you're a stan, but go to edge. And then go to DL.
Ooh.
Okay. Ooh. Nah, couldn't helmet scouting. Yeah, let's go. Let's stick with all reliable here. And fuck. I really want to say Benson.
Should we flip a coin?
No, because this is unless do you think the Cowboys, do you think it's all smoke screens for Benson? I'll tell you that. I'll ask you that. Like
with the Brooks buzz?
Well, yeah, with everyone and their mother assuming we're taking Brooks. Me wanting to be different makes me want to pick Benson here, but everyone and their mother's pointing Jonathan Brooks in our way.
So, and that's a really interesting thought, because the one thing that we know about the Cowboys is that things don't get out of the star, especially when it comes to the draft. Last year, everyone was pretty much convinced that we were taking Dalton Kincaid. Come to find out that our first round pick was between a defensive tackle and an offensive tackle. So whatever smoke screens we put out, I mean, they're damn good at it. If there's one thing that Jerry Jones and the front office knows how to do, it's just dodge allegations. So, but I will say,
that caught me so off guard. It caught me so off guard.
But I will say that the one thing
it's an unfiltered laugh.
I will say that the one thing is with Brooks is that I know that we like in-state guys. We went to the well last year on day 2 with DeMarvin Overshone, and I kind of feel like just with what they're valuing, I feel like it's Jonathan Brooks, but I'll give you a chance to say otherwise.
I want to say Trey Benson. My heart wants me to say Trey Benson, but for wanting to post a correct mock draft and be like to all the boomer Cowboy fans that keep doubting the new younger generation of Cowboy fans and our ball knowledge and our ability to get into the Cowboys space, let's do Jonathan Brooks, because 1, we did a surgery, 2, in-state guy, 3, most complete back. Do it before I change my mind. Thanks. And brings us to our 3rd round pick.
That's a good nugget that we did his surgery, because we all know how the Cowboys get when we do guys' surgeries. Yeah. That's a good nugget. Okay. So third round pick here. Double dip at running back. No, I'm just joking. Okay, so this is where things get interesting. So the board, as we saw with their 2nd round pick, linebacker is picked over, even more so now. Trotter went. So linebackers looking thin. I don't know if I see a guy there that really moves the needle for me. Just go to receiver. Kind of the same, even more picked over, you could argue. I think that okay. Not now, but I'm saying for a later round, I think that there's some names there that I think I would like personally. Just go to edge. So I don't know much about Adisa Isaac. Not going to sit here and try to act like I do, but I know that he's a Penn State guy. I'm sure Micah would probably be able to vouch for him in some capacity. Don't know how much weight that would hold here, but are there any names or positions that you want to look at?
Click on offensive tackle for a second. Kiernan Amegadiji.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that set me up for failure, although he caught my attention. This is a late round project tackle that I see so many people talking about. He's a love or hate prospect. I know some people have him graded to potentially be a kind of like the swing turn going into the late first round, early second. I know I've seen him mocked to the San Francisco 49ers at 31 a bunch, along with the guy from the tackle from Washington. And honestly, the way this kind of board's fallen,
What do you say?
Can you I really like, so I'll lead you through my head and stop right there. I really liked the tackle the defensive lineman out of Duke, Dwayne Carter. Talk about a high motor guy, more of a 3-tech, kind of undersized, but for whatever reason, he has this junkyard dog strength. I really like him. Johnny Wilson is the 6'7"
yeah,
wide receiver out of Florida State. Trevin Wallace is the linebacker that ran the 4.51 combine, but dumb raw. Like, no, scroll up. I'm just leading you. Cedric Van Pan is decent, but who did we take? We took Barton.
Yeah. I will say, and this would be maybe a little bit. So I think the two names that stick out to me, just doing this scroll through, one is gonna be Mason Smith, out of LSU. He's a real solid player, and I just don't think it would hurt to get another young big body, in that, the interior of our defense, especially because I think Ose is a free agent after this year, so that's just something to keep in mind. The other name is, in this, going back to last year and early mocks, was a very popular pick to the Cowboys, and I think he's fallen a lot because of the position that he plays, is Cam Kinchens from Miami. He's a really solid player. He's a ball hawk. I don't know how much different our defense is going to kind of look now with Mike Zimmer, but obviously, thank God we lost Jaron Kearse. But I mean, we still have Hooker, Wilson, Wanye. Am I forgetting someone? Hooker, Wilson,
Wanye, Izzy.
Izzy,
and then Marquise Bell.
And Marquise is back to safety. So that's my one drawback with Cam Kinchens, is that I just don't know if safety is that big of a need. Yeah, exactly.
We got a loaded room. Honestly, I'm really leaning that tackle from Yale here, and that is 3 positions of need, potential starters. It's number 80s right under Mason Smith. Or do we go Mason Smith? I feel like this is definitely this is the exact discussion we did last year in our first round room.
Yeah. Pretty, yeah. Space either tackle or yeah. I mean, this is a tough one.
I think because I just saw a report saying Zimmer wants Mozzie to put on weight. He wants Mozzie to be the 1-tech. I'm leading the tackle.
Let's take the tackle.
Getting the swing tackle that we need.
Yeah, I'm with it. Kieran Yeah.
Omega
DG. Yeah, Kieran, welcome. Dallas Cowboy.
Welcome.
A plus. Okay. We know ball. Okay, so now we're in that just long spell where we don't pick forever because we gave up our fourth for a quarterback that's never going to see the field, unfortunately. But we'll see what's available at 174. It's coming up here.
This is going to test our ball knowledge here.
So immediately, I just saw a pick go that I really wanted, and that was Luke McCaffrey out of Rice. One because he's Christian.
Damn, that was gonna be mine, bro.
Yeah, that was the one I wanted. So I'm a little bit butthurt about that.
All right, click linebacker for me.
I forgot we didn't take a linebacker yet.
Okay, that's what it looks like. Click DL for me. Those are the positions that we're going here. Nothing else makes sense.
Right.
Go back to linebacker. I would take Marist Lifo, linebacker out of Notre Dame. 3-time starter, Mike linebacker, dog, not really athletic. Washington guy, athletic freak, but raw. Which one?
Give me a reliable starter. So Luafau. Maris.
You're supposed to be the pronunciation guy.
Dude, I'm not even gonna cap on the pod right now. I don't know who that is. So, but I'm with it if you are.
Yeah, go.
Sure. Cowboy.
Hey.
All right. So let's see. Now we're in comp pick territory now. Okay, so pick number 216. Let's see. So receivers getting picked over. I know a little bit about Taj Washington.
Yeah.
I know he's pretty shifty. And teams seem to really like what he did at his pro day. D-line.
Can you scroll for me?
Yeah.
Damn, our boy got picked. No Gabe Hall. Depressing.
He got picked? I mean, yeah, of course he got picked. Second Bears.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and check edge.
Damn, Xavier Thomas.
Yeah, that one doesn't really surprise me. Thomas was like, he was a 5-star recruit.
He was so good that one year and then fell off. Mad.
I think Thomas was also a product of the guys that were around him too.
Yeah.
I would take
Todd Washington. Todd Washington.
Yeah.
Just because I don't recognize anyone else. We're gonna play what names do I recognize from Twitter game?
Let's see. What do we get on that? A plus, dude. I mean, can we get anything but an A?
I think we're good. Oh shit, we're up again.
Oof, Joe Milton.
I mean,
Bazooka Joe.
Oh no, Trevor Keegan, right there, Michigan interior offensive lineman. Bingo.
So we're gonna triple dip at O-line.
Yeah. I mean, this is a 7th round pick. Don't call it a triple dip. I mean, what else are we gonna do?
I mean, Jordan Jefferson. Yeah, I don't really care. All right, Trevor Keegan, Cowboy, Michigan. Another Michigan Cowboy. Oh, B plus. We lost our streak of A's. All right,
let's get us back on track with another A, Berkey.
Pick number 244. So I know Dylan Johnson, but we already picked a running back. We already have a sick kicker, although Will Riker's a stud. Gosh. A name that I recognize. This is always a fun game. I know Jace McClellan. He's a Texas guy. Alito. Sam Hartman, handsome.
Pronounce that name. Scroll.
Which one? This one?
No. Keep scrolling.
This one?
This is a real play.
Toronto, dude. That's not a real person, right? Quan Jesus.
Holy tight.
Canadian football. He's a CFL player. Okay, so he's
All right,
probably
draft
so
him.
he's.
Draft him.
I was gonna say it says Chiefs drafted. That was the first thing I thought of. Was he's probably a Chief. Where? Yeah, sure.
drafted.
CFL, sure. What do we get? What did it? Okay, so a B. Okay, so Graham Barton, Jonathan Brooks, Kieran, Marist, Taj Washington, Trevor Keegan, and Quantez. So definitely not an easy draft class on just in terms of pronunciation, but yeah, this is our draft. This is what Spanky Night. Let's go ahead and save this. What does that look like? Okay, and this was dude, imagine this is how it played out. Daniels, McCarthy, May, Odunze, Caleb Williams at 8. That would be the Caleb Williams, Laramie Tunsil scenario mock draft is what just played out right there. But
that'd be the craziest thing to ever happen.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just try to speed through this. We don't have to talk through every pick, but we'll go alternate pick. We'll do a round 1 mock. We'll do alternate selection. And we'll do all 32 teams. We'll say no trades just for time's sake. I'm getting an ad right now. It's very loud. Didn't love that. Okay.
Looked like a sick water park.
It did look like fun. Okay, so we'll say Burke, Spank, combo 1. Enter draft room, all 24 teams, 1 round. Okay, so what day is your birthday on an even or odd day?
Even.
Damn it, so is mine. Okay, well,
what right, month? I'm thinking of a number 1 or 2.
1.
Which one is it? It was 2, so you get to. I won't pick the Cowboys pick, so I'll do odds.
Okay.
So give me Caleb.
Okay. Okay, I'll start. Yeah, duh. Okay, so the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams. Easy enough. Washington Commanders. I think it's gonna be Jaden Daniels. I do. Since I'm on DC Sports Twitter because of the Nationals and the Capitals, I know all my DC homies on Twitter want Drake May, but I just think it's gonna be Jaden Daniels. I can't go against it. You've got the third pick, New England.
Yeah. I'll do a little shake up here. Give me JJ McCarthy at 3.
Interesting. Okay. JJ at 3. So Drake May slips out of the top 3 picks, which is surprising. Okay. At 4, I mean, Cardinals, it's got to be Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State. You've got
and then here
Jim
is
Harbaugh's
where the
first pick.
Yeah, here's where the trade is probably going to happen inside the first 5 picks. Everyone and their mom believes that. But for the sake of this pick, the Jim Harbaugh's first selection is Rome Odunze, wide receiver, Washington.
Okay. Over Malik Neighbors. Wow. Okay. Well, I think if you're the Giants, I think if this scenario happens, I think you sprint the card up and don't look back. It's got to be Drake May here. I mean, the fact that he's available at 6 is nuts. But again, this is a no trade mock draft, so our hands are a little bit tied. But Drake May to the Giants at 6. You're on the clock with Tennessee at 7.
The best offensive lineman in the draft. Stop sliding at 7. So Joe Walt tackled Notre Dame.
I think that's probably the second most mocked pick out of besides Caleb Williams. Okay, I think at 8 for the Falcons, it's really tempting for me to go with Malik Neighbors here, but I mean, they already have Drake London, Bijan, Kyle Pitts.
What else do you need before you even look at defense? It's like they have to go defense. Right?
So I think too. I mean, I know just from what I've seen and what I've gathered, I know edge rush is such a need for them. I think it would kill them to pass on Neighbors, but I think they have to. So I think it's gonna be Dallas Turner here. So you're on the
All
clock
right.
at
Well,
9.
you're welcome, Zane. Have fun with Caleb and Malik.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a dream scenario for the Bears. I think at 10, this is actually has become, just in doing mock drafts, this has become one of my favorite selections to make, and that's Brock Bowers to the Jets. Get him. I mean, you're in win now if you're the Jets. You don't have any other option, so go get a stud tight end. You're on the clock
Yeah.
with Minnesota at 11.
Wow, this is kind of like the doomsday scenario if Minnesota stays at 11.
Yeah, which again, this is a non-trade mock draft. I think we're both in the same boat. Minnesota's trading into the top 10, probably the top
Yeah.
6. So,
So
but
at 11, I'm gonna go click on the corners. I'm gonna go Cooper DeJean.
at 11, okay,
Yeah.
love it. Again, non-trade mock draft, just in case people try to like clip this and make fun of us. Non-trade mock draft. 12.
Say that after every dumbass pick.
Yeah, after every pick that makes no sense.
Non-trade mock draft.
It's like, all right, Broncos select Braden Narvison. No, I'm just joking. Okay, Denver Broncos at 12. They did just swing a trade today for Zach Wilson, which has cemented their three-headed monster QB room of Jarrett Stidham, Ben DiNucci, and Zach Wilson. But those are not the guys. I think their guy is going to be Bo Nix.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that, and I feel like the writing's on the wall for that as well.
Yeah.
Vegas at 13. Let's get Mad Max a little. No, a guy went off next to him, actually, right?
Well, they did just draft Tyree Wilson last year, top 10.
Yeah.
So probably gonna
Go
wait
look
to
at
see
the
how he
offensive
develops.
tackle.
Okay.
Look at the offensive tackle. Kemi Fuaga.
Okay. The Saints at 14. This is an interesting one. I would say Michael Penix Jr., but their situation with the Derek Carr contract is just so bad, and seeing how badly they missed last year, or was it 2 years ago with the Trevor Penning pick, this is your makeup for that. So I'm gonna go J.C. Latham out of Alabama.
Wow,
You're on the clock with Indy at 15.
Yeah, the slide begins, and I think we're gonna bring Jared Verse into Indianapolis and
Interesting. Okay.
get the Colts a pass rusher.
Okay. Let's see, Seattle at 16. This is another interesting one. I think Seattle could go in a lot of different directions here, but I think for his first pick as the head coach, I think Ben McDonald is going to stay in state. I think he's going to go Troy Fontenot. So you're on the clock with Jacksonville at 17.
I think Jacksonville will be taking Malik Neighbors' running partner here, Brian Thomas Jr., to replace Calvin Ridley.
Wow. Over a corner. Okay. Love it. Cincinnati at 18. God, this is a tough one, but I think the slide stops here for Mr. Olufoshinu, and he will be the pick for the Bengals at 18. You're on the clock with the Rams at 19.
Give me Latu,
Love
edge
it.
out of UCLA.
Keep him in the city. Love it.
A lot of homer picks.
Yeah, the Steelers at 20. I think this is a tackle. You want to protect old man Russ. And this is your guy, and I know it's going to hurt, but they're going to pair him with his teammate from last year. Why am I blanking? Oh, Broderick Jones. Steelers select Armarius Mims at 20, the mountain of a man.
Yeah, and after that, I believe the Miami Dolphins will finally look to shore up the offensive trenches, finally try to protect what's his face, Tua turned the ball over, and they will be drafting Tyler Guyton, tackle Oklahoma.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Okay, so Philadelphia, if this isn't a corner, I will be shocked, and I think that this is a dream scenario for them, unfortunately for us, and I think that they're going to take Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah. Well, Minnesota, they didn't go quarterback. Click on the whatever the fuck the quarterbacks are looking like right now.
Michael Penix.
Yeah. Well, Michael Penix, get ready to learn Minnesotan.
Keep him in purple. Okay. So now we have the Cowboys pick. Now, because of how this board has fallen, I know we obviously think that this guy right here, Graham Barton, is the pick, but seeing how this board has fallen, Byron Murphy is here, Terrion Arnold's here, obviously Graham Barton is here, A.D. Mitchell's here, Jackson Powers Johnson is here. Where's your mind at right now with this pick?
Hey man, you're the decision for it, not me. I don't get to provide input.
I just want to
It's your
hear
call.
your thoughts just because it's the Cowboys pick.
I'm looking at the defensive tackles. I'm just saying. If I'm in the room, I am definitely bringing up how high are we on the defensive tackles, because you're getting DT1 of this class right now, and it's who
Yeah.
you want. And for people that want to change culture, it changes with a punch in the mouth every fucking play, and that belongs in the trenches. So honestly, I wouldn't be pissed at Byron Murphy.
Yeah.
And I think I like him more than Newton, but Newton is also a dog, and I know he has homers on Twitter that will probably call me an idiot for saying I like Byron Murphy more.
Yeah, well, those homers can also call me an idiot as well, because I also like Byron Murphy more. Murphy is a monster. He's a guy that we didn't really talk about in our little preview, just because the prospect of him being available at 24 is not super likely. But again, this is a no trade mock draft, right? Disclaimer.
No trade.
Yeah, there's no trades. So this is how the board has fallen. And so, with that all being said, the selection has to be Peter Boughton. I mean, Wisconsin long snapper. No, I'm just playing. But this is, this is an ultimate dilemma. But I think I just have to stick with my gut. I do. Yeah, I gotta stick with my gut. Graham Barton is the pick at 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hurts. And it hurts. And it especially hurts when the next pick after is Byron Murphy.
Good segue there. Tampa Bay at 26. So, God, what do I know about the Buccaneers?
Breaking his edge, man. Breaking the edge.
Do they need a corner? Yeah. Terrion Arnold. Yeah, falls in their lap. Duh. Obviously.
Yeah.
Everyone knew that.
Arizona, I think they're licking their lips and patting each other on the back when they select Jezeron Newton out of Illinois.
Johnny Newton. Okay, so the Bills at 28. I think, you have to replace Stephon Diggs. I don't think you have a choice here. A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah, I like
out of
that.
Texas.
Detroit's a hard one to draft for.
Yeah,
they're kind of BPA, and
yeah,
I guess
or reach like like Jack Campbell.
Yeah. Give me Kool-Aid here.
Okay, I like it. Baltimore at 30. I mean, gosh, this is a tough one. Baltimore feels like they're looking and scouting receivers every single year, and they all fit the stereotype of like 6 foot African American descent and shifty. And medical concerns and questionable hands. But gosh, man, this is tough. I'm seeing tackle as a need for them, so that sounds pretty good to me. This is another guy that we didn't talk about for the Cowboys, but I think could be in play. Probably not as much as the other three, but I'll go Jordan Morgan for the Ravens.
Yeah. And then for the 49ers, McConkey on the Niners would suck.
Yeah, so would a lot of these guys, a lot of these receivers. Give me nightmares just thinking about them.
Xavier Worthy to replace
Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
Once he's traded. Okay.
Yeah. Assuming he's traded.
Yeah, if you didn't take Worthy there, I was gonna put him on Kansas City. But especially with the Rashid Rice, just trying to do his F1 racing and literally probably like 3 blocks from my house. I'm gonna take a guy that just plays the game the right way. First one in, last one out. Teammates probably voted him captain at some point.
High IQ.
Lunch pail guy, coach's son.
Rich.
Would let him date my daughter.
Yeah.
Just all the stereotypes that you think of.
Sneaky fast.
Yep. Quick is a good one.
Very quick.
Just
knows how the game should be played.
Weight room junkie.
Film junkie.
Film junkie, weight room animal. Shoe cleaner, whatever you want to say. Cafeteria crony, whatever you want to say, man. Lad McConkey to the Chiefs, and he'll probably be gross. So that's our first round. Again, that was a no trades first round mock draft. So let's just make sure, again, that was a no trade first round mock draft. But that's pretty much, I think, unless you have much else to add, I think that's pretty much gonna wrap it up here for us. Obviously this was, a little bit of a longer one, but we had a lot of stuff to get through. This was kind of our catch-all off-season episode. And thanks for bearing with us. And we'll be back next week. We're going to be breaking down the draft. I'd guess probably, sometime between Monday and Wednesday of next week, we should hopefully be getting our post-draft reaction video up with Clayton back in the fold, and also breaking down the selections that the Cowboys made, maybe some things we would have done differently. So y'all have that to look forward to. But as always, thank y'all so much for joining us today, making us your listen. And please follow us on our socials, our Twitter and our TikTok at Dallas BC Pod, our Instagram at Dallas BC Podcast. You can email us with any sponsorships or opportunities or inquiries or whatever you might name it, podcastdbc@gmail.com. Also, please check out our website, dallasballersclub.com. I'm in the process of working with our website developer right now, of kind of getting things up and running. We obviously have some new content that we're going to be wanting to put up there within the coming days. So hopefully we can get those wheels in motion pretty soon. But until next week, happy NFL draft week. And this is Burke and Spanky signing off. We'll see you guys next week.
Boom, 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 boom.